2011 Ford Fusion SE electric steering rack. It's the first time I've done one, so here we go. What you want to do is you want to get the vehicle to where you want it to be, go inside the car, go to the bottom of the steering column. There's a little black cover over the floor, pull it up to the bottom. It's into the little clips, and then you slide it down out of the top plastic nuts with studs. So take that out of the way, and then you want to go take the 10mm out of your steering shaft. Take that out, go up there, shake the wheel right to left a little bit, boom, 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 back and forth. Loosen that up a little bit so it's not so tight on there. Make sure your steering wheel is straight and centered. Raise your vehicle and support it. Remove this piece on the back of the subframe. Got 2 bolts on each side and then 1 nut on each side. These are the subframe nuts on the back. So you take them out, it drops down a little bit. When you take them out, of course you know about all the water that always comes out when you do subframe bolts. Then you want to go remove your left front strut, lower bolt. Remove your trans dog bone, take that out. Go to the front of the vehicle. There's 2 subframe bolts, one up in there, one up in there. Loosen them up a little bit, leave them on with a couple threads. Go to your tie rod ends. Take your 21mm wrench, get on the tie rod end through the bottom, hit it forward on this side, loosen it up. Loosen up your tie rod end on this side, boom. Hit it towards the back from the bottom. Take your nuts off the tie rod ends. Hit them with a hammer on the knuckles to break them loose to taper. Later on when you get the rack out, you can swap the tie rod ends and make your measurements. And then, let's see. I got the frame down a little bit because the bolts came out. I'll go and I'll undo my electrical to my rack. Don't forget about pushing your little red clip out first. I went through the side, had a little gap, and just twisted my screwdriver in there and worked pretty good and pushed it forward. Then you got to go inside here and push down a little clip. Try not to break it. You want to remove this one. It's connected to the same harness. There's actually another one that's up there, but it connects to the rack and it goes all the way over there by the steering shaft. You don't have to worry about that one. Go to your 3 bolts on your rack. One in the back, one on the front on the driver's side, and one on the front on the passenger side. Break them loose with your breaker bar. Then you can use your ratchet. Take them all the way out. Go to your ball joints on this side. Take your ball joint nuts off. Hit your knuckles with a hammer. Break them loose a little bit. Help them out. Tap them up. Boom, boom, boom. Through the bottom, not down the threads. To the bottom of the arms. Push them out. Then you can have this thing move around. Okay. Now you can drop your subframe down. Lower your subframe down. It's not going to come falling all the way out like most of them do. This one's held on by the stabilizer bar and the links. So just loose in there. So what you want to do is you want to pull it down as much as possible. And then you can pull your whole rack out. And once you got your whole rack out, you already centered your wheel, so you know your rack is centered. You want to compare your steering shaft. Make sure they're correct. On this one, you want to turn it all the way to the right. Mark it. Turn it all the way to the left. As you're turning it, count. 1, 2, 3.5. So and then you go. If it was 3.5 or 3, if it was 3, you go 1.5. If it was 3.5, then you go 1.25. Turn it back 1.25. So that's dead center. So now you know your rack is dead nuts. And then you want to make sure that the ends match where the old one matches. And then once you got that centered, then you can swap your tie rod ends. Make sure you take your tie rod ends off and take your jam nuts off too. Make sure you do your measurements from your center of your tie rod to your center of your tie rod on that one. Measure it. Write that down. And then you want to come over here and kind of like measure from the center of this one to right there. And to the middle right there, where the clamp is. Take that measurement. And do the same thing on the right side. Put them exactly the same on the new one. And then do your overall measurement that you wrote down. You know, from right to left, it should be where you had it. Fairly close. Should still get an alignment after you're done. Then put your rack in. And just go reverse procedure how I took it apart. And when you're dropping your subframe down, make sure you remove your little clips off your little shields. Otherwise you'll break them all off. Forgot to tell you about that. And then when you're going back together, don't tighten this one up until you get your subframe all the way up and tight. Tighten this last. And then when you're going inside the vehicle, you can line your shaft up as best as possible and push it on there. Make sure you tighten your bolt. Okay, that's it.